and welcome. I'm Wolfgang Riebe. These are my quick tips, and today we're going to talk about coping with greedy and aggressive, selfish people. Now, even though I'm an inspirational speaker and someone that is constantly positive, I too am a normal human being. Guess what? I too get cheesed off if someone's selfish or greedy, or if someone pushes in front of me in the traffic right at the last moment just to gain one car space. I too get annoyed if I am in public transport and I see a gentleman that doesn't give up his seat for an elderly person or for a lady. This is all normal. I look at how greed is controlling corporate profits, that people just walk over each other. It upsets me. This is normal. I don't know about you if you've ever stood in a supermarket. I always get the slow lane. What about you? No matter how you hop, you're always in the lane that takes the longest. And the person in front of you is always, how do I put this nicely, someone that shouldn't be allowed out in public. They forget half their stuff and you've got to wait for them to go and shop for it, and then the credit card doesn't go through, and then they're looking for change, and then they count out all the cents that they have, and on top of that they're ugly as well. Does that ever happen to you? And then if you do say something, everyone looks at you like, how can you? Yes? So I just want to clarify things and get the playing field leveled out here, that guess what? I'm sure you experience that. I experience it too. We're all normal here. But how do you cope with stuff like this? I'm going to share a few tips with you. I've got a complete free ebook. You can go to mindpowerpublications.com, and under free books you can download it, and there are 22 tips on coping with selfish and greedy people. I'm just going to cover 5 quickly just to assist you. So let's start with the first tip. Awareness. Now, what do I mean by that? You see, each of us is at different phases or stages of awareness in life. Some of us might be enlightened to a point of 10%, others 30%, or others 70%. Depending on the level of awareness you are, that's how you're going to see and react to the world around you. Now, a lot of people don't even know that they're being selfish or greedy. And this is the big problem. How do we identify them? That's also difficult to do. So for me, when I see somebody being selfish or greedy, I actually just stand back and say to myself, don't get annoyed. Be aware that they're not on the level that you are. Either go around them, do something else, avoid them, but don't get annoyed. And just accept that there are people around there like that. That's one really good way to cope with it. How often have you driven behind a car that's going so slow, in fact at a speed that you can't even match that speed? It's like a weird in-between speed. And then when you do hoot at them, they look at you as if, what's your problem? They curse at you. Meanwhile, they didn't even look in their rearview mirror. So that you are not one of those greedy or selfish people. The next time you drive, become a little bit more aware of what's going on around you. Look in your rearview mirror, take note, and have cognizance of anyone that's around you. It's the same when you want to park your car at a busy supermarket. There are no parking spaces. You see someone walking towards the car, so you get in position, the indicator's on, and you wait. And it takes them half an hour to find their keys, and eventually to pack the car. And then when they're in the car, maybe ladies will reapply their makeup. If it's a guy, he'll do all his phone calls. An hour later, he'll pull out of there. You could have actually just walked into a bank, deposited some money, waited for the interest to accrue, and then bought the whole bloody shopping center. Yeah? And you're like, ah! Guess what? If you're in a situation like that, drive on. You'll find a parking 2 minutes further. You won't be stressed out. Are you one of those people that actually does that? Do me a favor. When you get in your car, look around. Is there somebody waiting? Be respectful to others out there. But also realize that if there are people that are selfish, most of the time, they don't even realize they're doing it. Just let it go. Very important. That's tip 1. Tip 2, start practicing humility. I know many people that always say, you know, we're good people. We're not greedy. We give to charity. But you know what? There is an announcement in the newspaper when they give to charity. Everyone knows they give to charity. That's not really being charitable to me. That's like just trying to get your image out there. We live in a society that focuses on image and ego and who you are and your status. As long as you follow that, as long as you are conditioned to believe that that's what's important, you will be greedy and selfish, and you won't understand why people don't click with you. It's really sad that people must get their face and the image out there to make them feel important in life. The really genuine people, the humble people, the people that really give, they usually give anonymously to a charity. No one knows where the money came from because they don't need to prove anything. We've got to stop being insecure about ourselves. The insecurity makes us selfish, makes us driven to stand on the other person, and makes us greedy. As soon as you become comfortable with who you are and you're secure within yourself, guess what? It's not important then. And you know what the coolest thing is? When you do something without anybody knowing that it was you, just try it. It's an incredible feeling of power because you know and no one else does. I think that's kind of cool. So that was tip 2. Tip 3 is that respect is more important than popularity. What do I mean by this? Well, look at greedy people out there. Those that are knowingly greedy, not those that aren't aware they're greedy. They are always out there and everything evolves around them because they want people to love them and they want to be popular. And I cannot be popular if I'm not in the media and I'm not a dysfunction and I don't know these people. But are these greedy people, these selfish people really happy within themselves? That's something you've got to ask yourself. It's just the front, it's an image. We see this image this of success and wealth and big cars and big houses, but privately, are they happy? Think about that. My dad always gave me good advice when I was a youngster. He said it's more important to be respected than it is to be popular. You see, today, once again, it kind of falls back onto the previous point. This social conditioning, the media, the popularity status, you know, how the scale, how popular are you? And because you need to be popular, you are greedy because you have to stand on other people to get ahead, to become popular. Stop that. That's never going to make you happy. If you realize that not everyone's going to love you, that's a fact of life. No matter how much you try and be popular, it's not going to happen. No matter how greedy, how selfish you are. In fact, by being more greedy and selfish, less people are going to love you anyway. But in life, sometimes you have to make decisions that are tough. And you know what? You add quality, you don't add quality. What you're doing doesn't agree with my principles. What you're doing does. You actually got to stand up, take responsibility for your life and say, you know what? I don't need you to like me because I don't agree with what you're doing. I don't want to hang out with you because all you think about is status and the connections that I have. That's why you're my friend. Learn to take that responsibility, to negate all the bad, negative things, even if you're going to make yourself unpopular with that group of people. At the end of the day, will you be unpopular? Not really. You might not be liked, but you will be respected. The difference is love. If everyone loves you, you're the cool guy. But the day you're in trouble, are they going to be there for you? If they need advice, are they going to ask you? No, because you just fit in, you go with the flow. But if you are respected, people will look up to you. I'd rather have people look up to me, know where they stand with me, and respect me for who I am. And respect me for my humble behavior, for the fact that I do give and I'm not greedy and I don't need to prove a point. Because in that way, I'm making people realize there's more to life than being popular. There's something called being decent. Tip 4 is aimed at you and at me, at both of us. We try to be decent people, but at times we are selfish and we are greedy. Now, what do I mean by this? Have you ever been to a social function or an event, a conference, a get-together, wherever, social gathering with a family? Have you ever questioned yourself afterwards and asked, what did I learn from the people there? Did I meet strangers? What did I learn from them? If you cannot give an answer, that means that you were speaking most of the time. You see, we like to hear our own voice, but when we speak, we don't listen. And there's a reason we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, is that we should hear twice as much as we speak, because it's more important and it's more decent to find out about others, their life, their feelings, their fears, their insecurities, and to guide and help them than it is to just focus on yourself the whole time. But we get so caught up in, oh, I did this and I was that and I was here and you know, this is so cool. Probably those people don't always want to hear that. If people want to hear something, they'll ask you a question. And what I kind of do is, somebody asks me a question, I'll give them an answer and I'll try and turn it around and get their viewpoint. I want to learn about others. People that have developed those kind of skills very well are journalists because they've had to learn to pick up. And often you'll sit with a journalist and one of the things they'll say about their jobs is, you know, no one ever asks us about our life because they're getting people to talk the whole time. And the nicest thing to do is to get someone else to talk about themselves. Do you want to be seen as a person that's caring and that is not selfish, not self-centered, not arrogant or greedy? Get others to talk to you the whole time and they're going to bond with you much quicker. And the final tip is start giving more to others. Now that's very difficult to put into perspective, or that's what people claim. For me, it's the easiest thing to understand. We get so used to taking that we forget to give. Think back of the first time you fell in love, or just think back of the time you fell in love. What did you do with your partner? You were so excited about seeing them, you'd try to surprise them. You'd buy things, you'd make things, and all you wanted to see was their reaction. Whether they gave back or not didn't matter, because your love and your passion was so powerful. You just wanted to give, and you want to see them happy. That's the true definition of love, is that your partner, that what you do without expecting in return. And the happiness that they get from what you're doing, the pleasure they get, is the most awesome feeling in the world. So, if you want to make sure that you don't act in a greedy fashion or a selfish fashion, give to others without expecting in return. And it's not always the materialistic, whether you give your time, whether you give patience, whether you just give caring, just go out there and don't expect in return. And just think back of the nice feeling when you fell in love. That's the feeling you want when you give out there for others. And if you can live your life like that, believe me, your life starts changing and people start reacting differently to you. And you start pulling in people that you never even knew were out there. And you start living in the moment and having an awesome life. Well, that's it. Those were just 5 very quick tips. I do trust that they'll give you something to think about, will help you become less greedy and less selfish, and will also help you cope with those out there that are. Maybe you can guide them to become better people as well. As I said in the beginning, there's a whole free book with 22 different tips at mindpowerpublications.com. You can go there and you can download it. Thanks very much, and I'll see you at my next quick tip. Until then, bye.